In the modern world, we rely on one of the most important factors in human life. Food. People cannot survive without food. Without food, society will crumble.
Like as if it already hasn't.
But amongst the ashes, hope rises from the ground. The golden arches, with their white meat chicken McNuggets and their $3 menus. Fuck, if there's only some way I can take this home. Except in a box with electronics inside of it. And it only supports ROM cartridge format. You know, those little plastic boxes that contain a software within a shell. Aha! I finally know what it is. McDonald's video games. It's the ultimate solution to our consumption needs, especially from a man known as Ronnie McDonald. Everyone knows who this guy is. He's the fun-loving McDonald's clown, the mascot of cheap burgers and big multi-million-dollar successful companies.
Except for whatever the fuck this thing is.
But we also forgot that he was an adventurer. Because of this gem right here. This is McDonald's Treasureland Adventure, a game released by Treasure in 1993. Wait, hang on. Treasure? These are the same guys who made Gunstar Heroes and Alien Soldier. What the heck are they doing making a kiddie McDonald's game? But enough questioning about that. Because this game is made by Treasure, it's possibly a very good game. And now onto the game.
One day, as Ronald was walking in the magical forest, he found a small piece of paper under a big tree.
What's this? It looks like a piece of a treasure map. I wonder where the rest of the map is.
What Ronald didn't know was that three bad guys have a piece of the map.
And so Ronald decided to go on an adventure to find the rest of the pieces of the map.
In the magical forest, where you can find turtles, bunnies, and these gnome-looking dudes. And bags of gold as well. Which makes me question, what the heck's the point of Ronald McDonald going out of his way to find pieces of a treasure map when he could just go outside and collect bags of gold that are left everywhere? Greedy fuck. Anyway, Ronnie McDonald has an arsenal of weapons that he can use. One of them being Ronald's magic. This is most likely going to be the most useful attack that you're going to use. Well, especially because this is his only attack. It's especially useful for Ronnie to get rid of those pesky little critters just running about minding their own business. But at the same time, there's actually a good purpose as to why you want to use your magic on these foes, is so that way you can actually get the good collectibles. And those collectibles being the flowers and gems. More on that later. Ronnie can also utilize his super cool clown scarf, which he can actually use to grapple onto hooks that are all over the levels. And while holding the scarf button, you can actually adjust your height so that way you can fling yourself up to the higher platform. This mechanic actually gets pretty useful, and it's really fun to do. It's so satisfying. And remember how I said that Ronald McDonald can collect gold bags everywhere? Well, there's actually a purpose to collecting the gold. You see, unlike in the game like Super Mario Brothers, where you collect a bunch of coins and get nothing out of it, except for a 1-up or 2, you can buy life enhancements. Like flowers, the McDonald's logo, a gem, and Ronald's face. But you see, here's the weird thing about this shop. They totes missed the opportunity to make this into an actual McDonald's. Except they did! Well, obviously not in the final release, not even in the Japanese version, but in the prototype version. And there it is, look, it's fucking McDonald's! There's even an employee who works here! And remember that I mentioned the flowers and gems? Well, it turns out that the gems are actually Ronald's hit points. So, it actually made more sense if they were frickin' Big Macs and Quarter Pounders, not gems. Anyway, after we reach the goal of the magical forest, we move on to the second part of the magical forest, where a goddamn tree falls from the sky, and now we gotta climb the tree. And the more we climb up this tree, the more the day goes by, and the more we get to see this tree's creepy, hollowed out eyes. So anyway, after jumping around for quite a bit, we are greeted by a very disappointed looking fish, as well as this giant pinwheel thing that we have to scale up to reach to the next part of the level. And then we jump onto the back of the very happy frogs to reach another McDonald's, only it's not a McDonald's, it's actually a mini game! There's not much I can really say about this mini game aside that it's one of those match 3 type puzzle games, and it gives you opportunities to get life enhancements. Now it's Gazer Team! You need to watch out for Cupid's spiky cock! And now we're on to the last segment of stage 1. Boy, that took longer than I thought, actually. Now Ronnie has fallen inside of the magical forest sewer system. Well, at least we have this catchy song in the background. We eventually stumble upon a building in which we go inside to find, well, the Hamburglar.
Hamburglar, am I glad to see you?
And the Hamburglar wants 2 of our hit points to give us a very good hint. Fair enough, I guess. Now moving swiftly on to the, oh dear God! It's like Alloy Lantern all over again! And about time we actually reached the first boss, a goddamn tomato. And I think it's about time I reveal that useful hint from the Hamburglar. In order for the boss to take damage, you must let him eat one of your gems so you can actually attack him. And seriously, still, why did they get rid of the burgers? It actually made more sense as to why they want to eat your damn burgers and not a gem. And whenever a main boss is not eating, they're basically invincible. And if you're worried about losing all of your gems because you literally have to let the boss eat one of your health points, well, they have like little obstacles that you can shoot with your magic that can give you opportunity to get gems back. Upon being the tomato guy, we finally get more exposition to the amazing treasure hunting story. Oh man, now I actually feel bad for the guy. But shit, at least Ronald has a nice rump though. Yeah.
Oh, please, take a piece of my map. That's what a tomato sounds like.
Hey, it fits the piece I have perfectly. I wonder who has the rest of the map.
And so somehow Ronald manages to catch a train into, well, the magical town. But first, Ronnie has to hitch a ride on a train full of puppets. You know, the puppets kind of reminds me of another treasure game, but I can't put my finger on it. Oh, fuck this lion segment though. I remember it used to be harder on my first playthrough. Probably because I was playing on the most sophisticated hardware. Anyway, let's play columns! So we finally come across Birdie, who seems to be in a bit of a pickle. And of course, to get out of that pickle, you guessed it, we gotta give her those tasty, sweet McDonald's gems. It's all inside of a Happy Meal! Oh, by the way, those are not in this game either, so what the fuck? Now we're on top of a train! And also, I think this part would look much better on real hardware because the lights, they're trying to look transparent, but because this is a high quality footage, you don't get that fuzziness to really get the illusion. Speaking of which, it's actually kind of getting a little bit dark in here. And now we're standing on top of bunny girls? This never happened in the McDonald's universe! But in the magical town, I guess anything goes. For starters, who thought that Swan Lake was oddly fitting for this kind of scenario? And you're playing as Ronald McDonald doing precision platforming on top of bunny girls' heads.
No joke, but I kind of legit want to draw that now.
And once we're actually at the magical town, we're greeted by a bunch of sumos stomping about and guys who really like to litter. Because in the magical town, there is no such thing as public decency.
Public decency.
Next up, Ronnie has to defeat a mecha croissant by standing on one of the many balloons that are on the screen so he can shoot his face while he's eating.
Only thing I can really say about this is do not try to step off of the balloons. That is it. Because if you do, this croissant is gonna fly all the way on top of the screen where you can't even reach him. Now, I'm starting to realize that I'm the bad guy because look, the little guy's crying. Now I just feel bad again.
Please stop crying. Here, I got something now to cheer you up.
Wow, for me? Gee, thanks, Ronald.
Anyway, after Ronald paid him back for destroying his mecha croissant, of course the little dude drops a piece of the map, revealing that you gotta go to the magical sea. Honestly, Roland Keyboard could hypothetically skip the entire level if the balloon hadn't just randomly combusted. Or, I don't know, call your flying friend Birdie. Whatever happened to her? Unfortunately, the magical sea is pretty frustrating to play. You can never know which one's a solid cloud and which one's gonna disappear. And if you even bother to try to outrun the screen, you're most likely gonna die. Well, shit. Looks like I ran out of continues. Yeah, but it's not too bad. At least the password's easy to remember. It's only just 4 icons. Anyway, let's just, If there's one thing I gotta say about this part of the game, boy, am I glad this is not the Japanese version. And yeah, you just saw Ronald blast a native with his magic. But what if the natives and this whole island was fabricated the whole time? I do love the captain's little laugh though, it's kinda cute actually. And off he goes, because God forbid he needs to protect his ripped piece of the map. You know, this is probably something I should have brought up a long time ago, in fact, at the beginning of the video, but why do these bad guys cherish pieces of a map? I mean, it's not like it's gonna do them any favors considering that the pieces don't really show the exact location of where the treasure is. And even if these bad guys do have pieces of the map, shouldn't they be hunting down Ronald for that? But to me, it kind of looks like because Ronald has found that one piece of the map, now he's obligated to go after these 3 other guys just so he can get the treasure for himself. But why beat him up with your magic when they didn't even do anything wrong?
Could it be that you were playing as the villain all along?
No, of course not. And that's why we're going to infiltrate the captain's ship. Good God, the transparency effects still look pretty bad. Or I guess I should say, transparency. Looks like Treasure were so proud of that hooking mechanic that the entire level is literally traversed through hooks. Well, what do you know? It's the average American, Grimace. He's that damn monster that'll consume almost anything on the McDonald's food menu. But this time, he wants to get paid just to get the fuck up. Then we come across a knight who yodels for some reason. And he's even immune to Ronald's magic. He must be a pretty hard foe. We finally reached the captain, and his boss fight is pretty annoying. He only eats whenever he's on the platforms, but he only eats from the side and never tries to eat when you're down. Oh, and to make matters worse, these conveyor belts push you the wrong way! Jesus Christ, he's got eyes! Well, on the bright side, at least the enemies will guarantee you give you something useful, so that way you don't have to lose all your gems in this boss fight. But regardless, this boss fight still took me forever to beat. So anyway, we finally beat him up, and, well, you guessed it, more exposition. No, please, I give up! Here, take this! It's a part of a treasure map I found! Well shit, why did he bother fighting? He doesn't even really want the piece to begin with. I guess he was super bored. And goddamn, does he not have a sexy mug or what? So once Ronnie assembled the pieces of the map, it appears that the treasure doesn't even exist. It's actually on the moon!
Hey, I got an idea! Let's go ask the professor!
Good God, that was awful. You know, I actually did forget about this professor character existing. Maybe he's the guy who creates new food items like the mech spaghetti or some shit. What? Treasure on the moon? Of course I can help you. I'll make you a rocket ship. You'll be there in no time. Wow, really? For free? That means I don't have to pay you any gems? Well, so far this guy is the most generous character in the entire game. And so Ronald and the gang decided to go to the moon to find this treasure. Now take a wild guess on what the moon stage is called. The Magical Mond. Well, this is certainly the magical moon. There's actually life on the moon. And this guy sucks! Also, really neat touch with the wavy background. It really captures the essence of the magical moon and McDonald's space. So to update you guys on the story, Ronnie is trying to find someone who can help McDonald's and the gang fix the rocket so they can return home. And so, of course, it gives me the excuse to explore the area. It's pretty vast after all, so before leaving, let's go backtrack to see what we can find. Oh, cool! We found death! Well, screw me for trying to explore and whatnot. Not to mention all the enemies in the moon levels are relentless. Like, sometimes you don't even know what killed you. That is, if you weren't paying attention. Then you got these air bubbles that try to propel you up to the spikes, but if that doesn't work, then you got this springy dude that's gonna do it for you. Oh yeah, and I also pulled the same mistake of trying to get a collectible that's near a trap. Good job. And rightfully so, now we're being pursued by UFOs trying to kill us. I mean, after all, we did kill the local moon wildlife, so it makes sense. So after him being in pursuit for a while, the UFO just decides to just catch us instead with the pervert hands. Wow, that would have been the obvious and best choice to do for an intruder. He's just taken in because that is what UFOs do. But I'd rather be blown up than taken into this maze of a level. And it doesn't help that these gates actually obstruct your view. But it's not all too bad. I mean, the only hints you really get to where to go is if you follow where the yellow hooks are. At this point, I'm starting to realize that this is not really a McDonald's game anymore. I mean, there's flying cats and there's that whatever that's supposed to be. Okay, now the hooks are overkill. It's time for me to unleash the secret weapon! Boy, was I lucky to save these. Basically, the balloons just saves you from falling down holes and pits. You can actually buy these in the shops as well as collect them in the levels. But you rarely ever use them because there's not really a lot of bottomless pits in the levels except for this one. And let's just say the balloons are very generous. So the game just has all the power-ups laid out in front of us, probably amping us up for the very hard and difficult final boss! Huh, what do you know? It's Hotel Mario.
This is it, I hope you made lots of spaghetti!
So the object in this final boss is that you're supposed to go into the corresponding door so that way you can be on the same floor as him so you can land your shot. But unlike in the previous bosses where you can just spam your shot as many times as you want, with this one you can't. It's only one shot. So yeah, this boss fight is pretty tedious, even more tedious than the captain, because you gotta wait for the doors to scroll, you enter the door in which the door is supposed to be in the same floor as the boss, and then you shoot him, and then you leave, rinse and repeat. And because you can only hit him once he's chewing on the gem, you have to be extremely patient, so this boss fight's gonna take a while. Otherwise, you'll die a million times just like what I did. But at least you get to listen to this sick-ass boss music. So yeah, after multiple attempts of dying and running into him and dying again, I finally beat him.
Stop, you won! Go ahead, take the treasure. You beat me, so it's now yours.
Oh, poor little fella. We don't want your treasure. All we want is to go home.
Huh. So why is this alien frightened about Ronald taking his treasure again? I mean, he obviously knew that inside of the treasure was just a portal to go home. Oh, who am I kidding? Treasure made this game after all. Need I mention that they really didn't know what to do with the McDonald's characters,
So they kind of just ended up slapping his story at the last minute and calling it a day. Well, at least his story makes a lot more sense than Alien Soldiers. And so, that was the amazing adventure that we had with Ronnie McDonald. And look, they even bothered to steal some promotional artwork. Though funny enough, it's actually a lot more high quality on the Mega Drive than the actual photo. Even including the characters that are never seen in the game. Well, unless the captain here injected Botox into his lips and turned into the Captain Lip Man. But I guess you can say that the real treasure is having to experience this amazing game by Treasure. Well, this is certainly the oddball when it comes to Treasure's lineup of games, but I will say that it is a very good effort, and it inspired one of Treasure's most popular games. Well, at least I think it did anyway. Just take that with a grain of salt. And so that ends my review of McDonald's Treasureland Adventure. And if you liked the video or you liked what you saw, make sure to subscribe or like or tell people about it or advertise it or do anything to spread the word, because I would like that and I'd very much appreciate it.